So, I'm Joseph Dougherty. I'm a junior, senior in IT, depending if you count time or credits. This is Tom Rosansky. We have 100% more Tom Rosansky on the project this semester, which is great. And we're working on the fire department management system, so we'll go into what that is in a second. I would like to give props to Nate. This is made in ease. It's really made in LaTeX, and then I ported my PDFs into ease so I could do this. Oh, yeah. Great. Give me a second, maybe it'll transition to the next slide. Crash. Okay, great.
Press backspace and do it again, and it'll probably do it smoothly.
Yeah, great. So LaTeX with ease transitions. I love that open door thing. I stole that from Peter from Keynote. Pretty great. So quick agenda of what we'll be running through. The problem is that fire departments deal with a lot of paperwork, right? You have these real emergencies. Property burns down, gets damaged, sometimes people get injured. So there's a lot of paperwork. Paperwork requires time. Obvious solution is electronic record keeping, right? Create, read, update, delete, fast, easy, and organized. But that just makes another problem because there's no freeze in speech implementation and there's no freeze in beer implementations. The record keeping software that's out there, not only do they have horrible user interfaces, but they're like $5,000. And you can have fun paying that for each computer you want installed on. So our solution is really a free electronic record keeping management information system for fire departments. So what we have so far in the state of our project, this is a third semester for the fire department management system. We currently track firefighter personal information, which includes things like their name and address. It also includes what equipment they have signed out by the fire department. It includes what training they've completed. And that's pretty much good to go. We have to do some work with reports so they can print things out, compliance laws and such. But the code base is there and we're pretty much finished. Inventory is all set. You can store inventory, you can do an inventory audit and make sure you have everything that you're supposed to have, and you can print a report based on that check. We have the fire drills. These are training exercises. And we'll get to a demo briefly. But basically, obviously, with firefighter, you got to train, right? You got to know what you're doing. You can't just run into a burning building. So you have to track fire drills. You need to make sure everyone's met their training requirements. You need to know who got where, when. You need to know where training exercises were held. And again, pretty much done except for reports. And similarly, calls, which are pretty much drills but real emergencies, are in a very similar state. We have the interface. We can make new calls. We can't open up old calls yet. That's coming soon. And again, reports. Search also good to go. So let's do a demo really quickly. And I apologize for not having this up. Some people are probably super not thrilled that I'm using Qt and GNOME. That's probably like hearsay or something, blasphemy. But
no, it's probably moderately stable.
Yeah, it seems to work all right. So here's the fire department management system in all its glory. My bad on these buttons. Nate gave me some great graphics. I haven't put them in yet. But here's how it works, right? And I designed this on Windows, so you can see some things aren't working great yet. That's just stretching out some labels. So you can add firefighters. You can search for firefighters. You can view firefighters that are in the database. Similar for drills. Of course, if I open up too many windows, my MDI looks just terrible. So here's the drill interface, right? You can scan people in based on their IDs. I think I used that. So now I signed John Doe in at 420, and you can store all this information. So we have a pretty good base right now. It's just making things better, finishing up some functionality. My bad. Do you have a play from current slide in ease, Nate? Now my transitions are just slowing things down. But so we'll get into the timeline for this project. Weeks 1 and 2, I'm set up to finish up the call functionality so that you can load up an existing call, print reports for it, edit things that need to be edited, and as well as a timesheet for the call. Tom's working with cleaning up some of my code, some of the stuff I wrote last semester. I was working on a tight schedule for a class, a little bit ugly. He's done a great job at that. Tom is a great programmer and has done a lot so far. He hasn't used Qt before, so he's learning things as he's going through the code base, learning the API, the ID, and other things. Weeks 3 and 4, we're going to go with the report generation. I don't expect it to take 2 weeks, but I'm kind of planning for the worst, hoping for the best. This will be the reports for the firefighters, the fire drills, and the fire calls. inventory we may redo. Our plan for reports is to actually generate HTML, output that to a hidden web browser, and then call the print function on that web browser. And that's a lot easier than manually building with print controls, because laying those things out is actually horrible. Whereas with a web browser, I mean, it just does it all for you. It's great. Week 5, general polish, get those graphics resources in, clean it up, set up the installer for it, and we're going to deploy it at the Youngsville Fire Department down in Youngsville, New York. I met with them over break. Really psyched about this software. They've used it, and it meets all their needs. So we're hoping to have a real release, get some real feedback, but it'll actually be being used. After that, I think we decided to switch things up a little bit. Before we do the AAA, which is authentication, authorization, and accounting, we're going to work on the database syncing. So this program uses SQLite, which is a database, fully relational database that exists as a file on the computer. If you have the running software on multiple computers, they need to be able to sync their databases together. Our plan for that is to store 3 additional columns for each record in the database, which would be a globally unique identifier, a hash checksum of the data, and a date for the last time updated. Looking for feedback though. Syncing a database is something I've never done. I don't think Tom has much experience with it. So feedback absolutely welcome.
One thing I'd like to add to that is we're using SQLite just in case these laptops in the fire trucks can't get access to the internet.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're taking that route.
Yeah. An extra $60 a month for 3G access for a laptop in a fire truck isn't within most fire departments' budgets, especially volunteer fire departments. So by having it as a local database, you don't need to worry about connectivity. It's always there. Thanks for adding that, Tom. After that, we'll be working on the AAA. Not really sure how to go about that right now. I don't know if it's best just to have a flag, basically, for each action in the program. I think that's kind of what Drupal does, where there's a relation for each user, not for each user, a relation of users to actions, and it's just Boolean of can they do this, can they do that, a column for each action. After that, and I don't really know anything about this, we want to implement extensions. The fire department management system right now is very tailored towards New York State fire departments, specifically the call reporting, because they have to comply with the New York State fire call reporting system. Right now, you probably couldn't use this very well in any other state than New York. It might be missing information you might require, and probably has a lot more information than you need because New York is crazy. So we want to make an extension system so that you can drag and drop the Iowa State fire call reporting system plugin, and now that's how everything works. I know Tom found this, I don't know, what is the name of it? Is it QScript or?
Something like that.
It's some variant of JavaScript, I think.
Yeah.
Some variant of JavaScript that Qt has made for this exact reason, for plugins or extensions. We've also found Lua. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that or if that would fit our needs. So again, definitely looking for some feedback here. This semester is all about quickly wrapping up what isn't done and then working on some pretty advanced features. So any help you guys can offer would be greatly appreciated. Some of the things I've learned, and I throw this slide in every one of my presentations just for anyone who hasn't seen it. Qt is really cool. It's cross-platform. It works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. As you can see, I designed that whole program on Windows, and I just loaded it up immediately in Linux. It's C++ without being shitty. You can quickly make interfaces. It's pretty much just as fast. It's a lot prettier than Java. Don't ever use Java. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but give it a shot.
The documentation for Qt is also pretty solid.
Amazing documentation online. Absolutely great. It also has a nice IDE if you're into that thing. I know some people love the command line, but IDEs are great. SQLite, also pretty cool. I briefly went into that. Local file, fully relational database. Great if it fits your usage. Not every project is going to work with a SQLite database, but it has its places. I think Firefox and Chrome store their bookmarks in a SQLite database. It can be definitely handy for your project. Special thanks, of course, to Morthy, who's given us so much help. Shona Sullivan for making this possible. Peter Hagis helped us with some UI designs, which haven't yet been implemented. So the UI you saw was not what Peter told me to do. We'll work on that. And to Nate as well for making some graphics. I talked with them mostly on the RCOS IRC. I really recommend you all stop by. It's not always the most active, but you sit there, you have a question, you throw it out there. If you get a good response, great. If not, you try another IRC channel. That said, does anybody have any questions, comments, or suggestions? Yes?
You said all of your data is stored on a SQLite database, right? So, I mean, in theory, you can extend it to any device that uses SQLite.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the cool things about Qt is because it's so cross-platform, I believe you could actually pretty easily deploy this on the Nokia Symbian OS on phones, so that'd be really awesome.
Both use SQLite too.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how well Qt would run on the iPhone. I don't know if that's at all possible. Peter says no.
So you mentioned a plugin system for making it work with other fire departments?
Yes.
Sort of, in different states or something like that. Would you be interested in maybe extending that plugin system to support other things other than different states?
Absolutely. One of the things I was originally going to build right into the software I think would work much better as a plugin was Google Voice SMS support. So in it, the firefighter information already stores a cell phone number. So with this SMS plugin, you tie into the Google Voice, not really API because you don't provide when you got to do it all yourself through like curl and stuff. But Google Voice, you can send to all of your firefighters, say, hey, we have an emergency going on. We've just been contacting everybody all at once. I know the Youngsville Fire Department I'm working with right now, they just store like 55555 @vtex.com and Thunderbird and then like send out a mailing. It's just shitty. So I think Google Voice support would be much better.
I think Peter was saying though, like for non-fire departments, right?
Or just for more fire department functionality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
the whole idea is for the plugin support to do multiple things that we maybe didn't think of that would be easy to implement through plugins. Of course, the software is open source, so if you want to just modify it, there's that. Yes.
Two things. First of all, like I know you said like hacking into Google Voice, but then you said like you can't just send an email to numbers and like it works.
You can send pretty much all cell phones have an email address.
Yeah.
So that works.
Like you just need to know what carrier they are.
Right, but it's easier to just store a single cell phone number and not have to worry about what the
it
address
involves
is.
like curl hacking with Google
It's
Voice.
not that bad. There is a project out there in Qt that ties into Google Voice, so I'm planning on adopting that. That's open source.
And then the other thing I was wondering was like, how tightly coupled to SQLite is this? Like if you're using, say, if you're writing a website with Rails or Django, like you should never be thinking in terms of SQLite or Postgres.
Right. I think the only thing that is SQLite specific is that we turn on support for foreign keys because it's not enabled by default in SQLite.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things you have to watch out for. Like when I put Observatory on the server, like SQLite doesn't honor max length.
Right, yeah,
so
SQLite
like
is very doesn't care.
So,
I mean, you can call something a
so
string and
careful.
throw in an int and it just treats it like that.
Yeah, you have to do things like that, careful things like that. But it would be more useful for like bigger fire departments that maybe have more than one, like lots of trucks and can't afford
definitely.
3G
Yep.
to be able to use Postgres or something like that on a server.
Yes.
If you consider not doing replication yourself, something like CouchDB, something like that at all, like not implementing replication yourself would be awesome because that'll take more than a semester
I'm
in itself.
open to input. Like I said, I don't have much experience with
I
it.
had put that out on.
Yeah, I know you said
CouchDB.
The problem is that this software basically exists as a SQL wrapper. So like all the code is just Q SQL query objects with SQL commands, and CouchDB doesn't really honor that, right?
Yeah, it's not relational.
Right. So I don't think CouchDB would work, but if we could find something.
You might find that document base is actually a better fit for the data set you're working with, though. Because it seems like you're mostly doing CRUDs on documents about people and other things. So, and it's got like a great replication and propagation system.
Yeah.
Version control and everything.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
Just as a comment, I was at the dentist like a couple months back, getting a crown put on, and I'm kind of dorky, so of course like, I was staring at their computers. It's right in front of you, which is weird because normally at doctor's offices they keep that a step away from you. But their MIS was, I asked them how much it cost them. It was like thousands and thousands of dollars, and it was the cheesiest, wonkiest thing I've ever seen. There was a picture of like a dentist's office, and it was like playing hieroglyphics. You had to like click on like a little picture of the laptop in the picture to get to the actual like.
So the software that's out there for the current fire department management software, it's so bad like they don't even put screenshots on their website because they don't want you to see it. The fire department I'm working with used to use that software. You have to like manually build SQL queries and all this crazy stuff. Like these are firefighters, not computer engineers. So the goal of this is to be very simple. I'm not a UI guy, so I thank Peter for contributing some things that we are definitely going to work on to make it even simpler than it is now. Yes?
Sorry for interrupting you earlier.
No, that's fine.
I shouldn't have done that. But I was wondering, you looked at QScript, and I would love to see how that works out for you, because that sounds really cool. And also the Qt plugin system, do you know anything about that?
I don't know it a whole lot. Are you talking about like within the development environment, or is there a separate plugin?
Apparently Qt has, I don't know anything about it, but from what I read, it's a plugin system, so you compile code and somehow I think it just, at runtime, adds these classes and throws them in the environment.
That might even be better then, because I mean, like I said, the problem with, I think, just a basic extension system is the call reporting, you're dealing with a database, you're dealing with interfaces, so it's a little bit more than just scripting. So I'll definitely look into the Qt plugin system to see if that'll work for us. Yes?
Did you consider like report templates where you have a bunch of fields that, like every field you know they can access, you make like some value that it just goes through a template and replaces values?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. That wasn't the initial plan, but I know exactly what you mean, and that way they could change things up or use different templates.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you very much.